There is a moment in every person's life when they realize that confidence was never about being louder, richer, stronger, more attractive, or more powerful than everyone else. It was never about walking into a room and pretending you had no fear. It was never about forcing yourself to act like someone you are not. Real confidence is something deeper, something quieter, something almost invisible. It is the silent code written inside the human spirit, the hidden language of self-belief, the secret force that separates the person who stays trapped in doubt from the person who rises, even when the world gives them every reason to fall. And once you understand this code, once you truly feel it in your bones, everything begins to change. The way you speak changes, the way you walk changes, the way you look at your future changes. Even the way the world responds to you begins to shift, because confidence is not just an emotion. It is energy. It is a signal. It tells life, people, opportunities, and even your own mind that you are ready to become who you were meant to be. But here is the truth most people never hear before we dive into this life-changing message. Take a moment to pause this video and do 3 things. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 1,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 99. This number will send a powerful signal to the universe, amplifying the energy of this video. Confidence does not begin when everyone believes in you. Confidence begins when nobody believes in you, and you still choose not to abandon yourself. It begins in the lonely moments when you are tired of pretending you are okay. It begins after rejection, after failure, after betrayal, after embarrassment, after the voice in your head whispers, "Maybe I am not enough." That is where the real code is hidden. Not in applause, not in compliments, not in perfect circumstances. The confidence code is carved in silence, in struggle, in the private battles nobody claps for. It is built when you keep going without proof, when you stand again without guarantees, when you decide that your worth cannot be measured by one mistake, one opinion, one broken relationship, one failed attempt, or one painful season of your life. Most people think confidence means never feeling fear, but that is a lie that has kept millions of people small. The confident person feels fear too. They feel uncertainty, they feel pressure, they hear the doubts, they see the risks, but they have learned one sacred truth. Fear is not a command. Fear is only a signal. It tells you that you are standing near the edge of growth. It tells you that something important is waiting on the other side, and the person who understands the confidence code does not wait for fear to disappear. They move with fear, they speak with fear, they begin with fear. They understand that courage is not the absence of trembling. Courage is trembling and still stepping forward. There was a version of you that once believed anything was possible. A younger version, a freer version, a version before the world taught you to doubt yourself, before people laughed at your dreams, before criticism became a voice inside your mind, before comparison entered your heart like poison. That version of you did not need permission to imagine greatness. That version of you did not ask, "What if I fail?" That version asked, "What if I fly?" And somewhere along the journey, life happened. Words happened. Failure happened. People happened. You began shrinking parts of yourself to feel accepted. You began hiding your light so others would not feel uncomfortable. You began calling your dreams unrealistic because someone else could not see them. But the truth is, your confidence did not disappear. It was buried, covered under years of fear, shame, overthinking, rejection, and the desperate need to be approved by people who were never assigned to understand your destiny. The confidence code begins with one powerful realization. You do not need to become someone else to be worthy. You need to return to yourself, not the wounded self that keeps replaying old failures, not the scared self that waits for validation, not the self that performs for acceptance. The real self, the deeper self, the self that knows there is something inside you that has not yet been fully expressed. Confidence is not an act of becoming fake. It is an act of becoming honest. Honest about your potential, honest about your pain, honest about your gifts, honest about the fact that you have spent too long waiting for the world to give you a crown that only you can place on your own head. Every transformation begins with identity. This is the first key in the confidence code. You cannot rise higher than the identity you secretly believe about yourself. If deep inside you believe you are weak, you will keep choosing weak actions. If you believe you are unlucky, you will ignore opportunities. If you believe you are not enough, you will over-explain, over-apologize, over-please, and overthink your way through life. But the moment your identity changes, your entire reality begin to reorganize itself. You stop begging for spaces where you are barely tolerated. You stop chasing people who make you question your worth. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop living like your life is a small accident and begin living like your presence has meaning, and this is where most people make the mistake. They try to build confidence from the outside. They change their clothes, their hairstyle, their social media image, their surroundings, their voice, their posture, and while those things can help, they are not the foundation. True confidence is not decoration. It is architecture. It must be built from within. It begins with the thoughts you repeat when nobody is watching. It begins with the promises you keep to yourself, because every time you break a promise to yourself, something inside you loses trust. Every time you say, "I will start tomorrow," and tomorrow becomes another excuse, your inner self quietly stops believing you. But every time you follow through, even on something small, your spirit receives a message. I can trust myself, and self-trust is the soil where confidence grows. This is why discipline is spiritual. Not because it is harsh, but because it restores your relationship with yourself. When you wake up and do what you said you would do, you are not just completing a task. You are voting for a new identity. When you choose growth over comfort, you are telling your mind, "I am no longer controlled by temporary feelings." When you take one small step toward your dream, even while afraid, you are proving to your nervous system that you are stronger than the old story. Confidence is not created by thinking about confidence. It is created by evidence. Evidence that you can survive discomfort. Evidence that you can learn. Evidence that you can recover. Evidence that you can begin again. There is a mystical power in beginning again. Many people lose confidence because they think their past has already decided their future. They carry old versions of themselves like a prison sentence. They remember the time they failed, the time they were rejected, the time they were humiliated, the time they trusted the wrong person, the time they gave everything and still lost, and slowly, they begin to believe that pain is prophecy, but pain is not prophecy. Pain is information. Pain shows you where you were wounded, where you were misled, where you forgot your worth, where you gave your power away, but pain does not have the authority to define your entire life unless you hand it the pen. The confidence code requires you to take the pen back. You must stop letting one chapter become the title of your entire story. You are not your lowest moment. You are not the mistake people remember. You are not the rejection that broke your heart. You are not the silence after you asked for support and nobody came. You are not the version of yourself that survived by shrinking. You are the one who is still here, still breathing, still searching, still trying, and that means there is something inside you that refused to die. That something is not weakness. That something is power. But confidence also requires a death. Not a physical death, but the death of the false self, the people-pleasing self, the approval-addicted self, the self that changes personality depending on who is watching, the self that hides ambition because it fears being judged, the self that says yes while the soul is screaming no. To become confident, you must let that version of you fade. You must stop worshiping the opinions of people who do not carry the weight of your calling. You must stop allowing temporary criticism to cancel permanent purpose. You must stop confusing being liked with being respected, because the road to confidence often begins when you disappoint the expectations that were never truly yours. Some people will not like your confidence. This is one of the hardest truths. When you begin to stand taller, certain people will call you arrogant. When you begin to set boundaries, they will say you changed. When you stop explaining yourself, they will call you cold. When you start choosing yourself, they will accuse you of being selfish. But understand this clearly. People who benefited from your insecurity will rarely celebrate your confidence. Your growth may disturb those who preferred your silence. Your boundaries may offend those who enjoyed your availability. Your self-respect may threaten those who were comfortable with your self-doubt, but that does not mean you are wrong. It means you are awakening. Awakening is not always peaceful. Sometimes it feels like losing people. Sometimes it feels like standing alone. Sometimes it feels like becoming unfamiliar to those who knew the old you, but loneliness is not always punishment. Sometimes loneliness is the sacred space where your real self returns. When the noise fades, when the crowd leaves, when the fake support disappears, you finally hear the quiet voice inside you saying, "I am still here," and that voice is the beginning of unshakable confidence. The second key of the confidence code is emotional mastery. A person without emotional mastery becomes a prisoner of every mood, every comment, every rejection, every delay, every unexpected storm. They rise when people praise them and collapse when people ignore them. They feel powerful when everything goes right and powerless when life becomes difficult, but a confident person learns not to hand the steering wheel of their soul to every passing emotion. They understand that emotions are real, but they are not always accurate. They understand that sadness does not mean life is over. Anxiety does not mean danger is certain. Rejection does not mean you are worthless. Delay does not mean denial. Silence does not mean failure, and fear does not mean stop. Emotional mastery does not mean becoming numb. It means becoming steady. It means feeling deeply without being destroyed completely. It means allowing emotions to move through you without allowing them to make every decision for you. It means saying, I feel doubt, but I will still act with faith. I feel fear, but I will still move with courage. I feel pain, but I will not turn my wound into my identity. This is where confidence becomes spiritual, because the deepest confidence is not loud. It is grounded. It is the calm strength of a person who has met their darkness and no longer runs from it. There is a kind of confidence that comes only after you survive what you thought would destroy you. Before that moment, confidence may feel like hope. After that moment, it becomes evidence. You look back at the storms you crossed, the nights you cried, the doors that closed, the people who left, the failures that embarrassed you, and you realize something powerful. I survived, and if you survive that, then maybe you are stronger than the fear says. Maybe you are not fragile. Maybe you are not behind. Maybe life was not breaking you. Maybe life was training you to carry something greater. This is why the confident person does not need a perfect past. In fact, many powerful people are not confident because life was easy. They are confident because life was hard, and they discovered they could endure. Their confidence is not built from comfort. It is built from scars that turned into wisdom. Every scar says, I was wounded, but I healed. Every failure says, I fell, but I learned. Every rejection says, I was not chosen there, but I did not stop choosing myself. When you begin to see your past this way, shame loses power. You stop hiding your story and start understanding it. You realize that the same experiences that made you question your worth can become the foundation of your strength. The third key of the confidence code is self-permission. Many people are not waiting for ability, they are waiting for permission. Permission to start, permission to be seen, permission to speak, permission to take up space, permission to want more, permission to walk away, permission to become successful, permission to stop living according to someone else's fear. But no one is coming to give you that permission in the way your soul truly needs. You must give it to yourself. You must decide that your dream is valid before the world applauds it. You must decide that your voice matters before people listen. You must decide that you are worthy before someone chooses you. You must decide that your life belongs to you before you spend another year living like a guest inside your own existence. The world responds differently to a person who has given themselves permission. Their energy changes, their posture changes, their choices change. They no longer enter rooms asking silently, do I belong here? They enter with the quiet knowing, I have a right to be here because I worked, I learned, I grew, and I came with purpose. They no longer ask life to make them confident. Before they act, they understand that action is the doorway. Confidence follows movement. The path appears after the step. The strength arrives after the decision. The voice becomes clear after you begin speaking. This is the great secret. Confidence is not something you wait for. Confidence is something you train. You train it every time you do something uncomfortable and survive. You train it every time you express the truth instead of hiding behind silence. You train it every time you say no without writing a long apology. You train it every time you stand in front of uncertainty and refuse to run back to the old cage. And one day, the things that once terrified you become normal. The room that once intimidated you becomes familiar. The conversation you once avoided becomes easy. The dream that once felt impossible becomes your daily work. Not because fear vanished, but because you expanded. You must understand this. Your comfort zone is not your home. It is your training ground. It feels safe because it is familiar, but familiarity is not the same as freedom. Many people are not living in safety, they are living in repetition. Same thoughts, same excuses, same fears, same identity, same invisible ceiling, and they call it peace because at least nothing is changing. But deep inside, something aches. Something knows they were born for more. That ache is not dissatisfaction. It is destiny knocking. It is your higher self asking, how much longer will you betray your potential just to avoid discomfort? Confidence asks for movement. It asks you to leave the version of life where nothing challenges you and step into the arena where your soul can grow. And yes, the arena is frightening. People may judge. You may fail. You may not be perfect. You may have to learn publicly. You may feel exposed. But the arena is also where confidence is born. You cannot become brave from the sidelines. You cannot become powerful by only imagining action. You cannot become magnetic by hiding every part of yourself that might be criticized. At some point, you must step forward and let your presence be seen, and when you step forward, remember this: confidence is not perfection. In fact, perfectionism is often fear wearing expensive clothes. It looks disciplined, but underneath it is terrified. Terrified of being judged. Terrified of being seen trying. Terrified of releasing something that is not flawless. Terrified of discovering that effort does not guarantee applause, but confidence says, I can be imperfect and still be worthy. I can be learning and still be valuable. I can be unfinished and still be powerful. This is freedom, the freedom to grow without hating yourself for not already being complete. Imagine for a moment that your confidence is a flame. When you were born, that flame was bright, then life began blowing winds at it. Criticism, comparison, failure, rejection, shame, betrayal, expectations, and over time, you learned to cover the flame. Not because it was gone, but because you were afraid of it being extinguished. But the flame was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to guide you. It was meant to warm others. It was meant to illuminate the path, and now, the work of your life is not to create a new flame, but to protect and strengthen the one that was always inside you. The confidence code changes everything because it changes your relationship with power. Not power over others, but power over yourself. The power to choose your response, the power to rewrite your identity, the power to walk away from what weakens you, the power to begin before you feel ready, the power to forgive yourself and still demand better from yourself, the power to stop waiting for perfect conditions and start building with what you have. This kind of power is not loud. It does not need to dominate. It does not need to prove. It simply stands, calm, clear, certain. When you carry this kind of confidence, you stop competing with everyone. You begin creating from your own lane. You stop measuring your chapter 1 against someone else's chapter 20. You stop looking at another person's success as proof of your failure. You understand that comparison is a thief, but not just a thief of joy. It is a thief of focus. It pulls your eyes away from your own assignment and traps you in the illusion that everyone else is ahead. But the confident person knows that destiny is not a race. Your timing is not broken just because it looks different. Your path is not meaningless just because it is quiet right now. Seeds grow underground before they break the surface. Roots deepen in darkness before trees touch the sky. So do not despise the hidden season. Do not hate the part of your journey where nobody sees your effort. Do not think silence means nothing is happening. Some of the greatest transformations happen beneath the surface. The bamboo spends years growing roots before it rises with shocking speed. The butterfly dissolves in darkness before it takes flight. The diamond is formed under pressure before it is ever admired. And you, too, may be in a season where the world cannot yet see what is forming inside you, but confidence says, I do not need visible proof to stay faithful to invisible growth. There will be days when you do not feel confident. Let that be okay. Do not turn one difficult day into a final conclusion about your identity. Confidence is not a permanent mood. It is a practiced return. You return to your values. You return to your breath. You return to your purpose. You return to the promise you made to yourself. You return after setbacks. You return after doubt. You return after fear. You return after falling. That return is the code. Never losing balance, but always remembering how to stand again, and maybe this is the moment you needed. Not another motivational quote, not another empty promise, but a mirror, a reminder, a calling. You have spent enough time doubting the thing inside you that refuses to leave. You have spent enough time asking whether you are ready when life has already been training you through every season. You have spent enough time shrinking your voice to protect people from your truth. You have spent enough time waiting for confidence to arrive like lightning, but confidence is not coming from the sky. It is rising from within you. Today, the code begins to unlock, not because your life is perfect, not because the fear is gone, not because everyone understands you, but because you are finally willing to stop abandoning yourself. You are finally willing to build self-trust one promise at a time. You are finally willing to stand inside your own story and say, I am not finished. I am not defeated. I am not invisible. I am becoming. And when a person truly begins to believe that, the world can feel it. Doors may still close, but they no longer destroy you. People may still doubt you, but they no longer define you. Failure may still visit, but it no longer owns you because the confidence code is not about becoming fearless. It is about becoming faithful to you. Faithful when it is hard. Faithful when it is lonely. Faithful when the results are slow. Faithful when the old identity tries to pull you back. Faithful when the world asks, "Who do you think you are?" And your soul finally answers, "I am the one who stopped running from my own power," and once that answer becomes real, everything changes. Here is the next part. But the moment confidence begins to awaken inside you, something strange happens. You start noticing how much of your life was built around fear. Not obvious fear. Not the kind that screams, but the quiet kind, the hidden kind, the kind that disguises itself as logic, the kind that says, "Be realistic," when what it really means is, "Do not risk being disappointed." The kind that says, "Wait for the right time," when what it really means is, "Stay where it feels safe." The kind that says, "What will people think?" when what it really means is, "Let strangers decide the size of your life," and once you see this, you cannot unseen it. You begin to understand that many of your limits were not walls, they were agreements. Agreements you made with doubt. Agreements you made with pain. Agreements you made with old versions of yourself that were only trying to protect you. This is where the confidence code becomes dangerous to your old life, because confidence does not simply add something to you. It removes something from you. It removes the need to be chosen by everyone. It removes the hunger to explain your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. It removes the habit of shrinking before you even enter the room. It removes the belief that your past has the final vote, and when those things begin to fall away, you may feel exposed at first. You may feel uncertain. You may wonder who you are without the old fear, but that discomfort is not a sign that you are lost. It is a sign that you are being reborn. Every rebirth begins with a separation. The seed must separate from its shell. The bird must separate from the egg. The soul must separate from the identity that once kept it small, and this separation is not always gentle. Sometimes confidence rises in you as a quiet decision. Sometimes it rises as exhaustion. Sometimes you simply reach a point where you are tired of begging life for permission to become yourself. Tired of making yourself smaller so other people can feel bigger. Tired of laughing when something hurts. Tired of saying it is okay when it is not okay. Tired of watching opportunities pass by because fear convinced you that you were not ready. But listen carefully. You were never meant to feel ready for every great thing. Greatness often calls you before your confidence catches up. Purpose does not always wait until your hands stop shaking. Sometimes the door opens while you are still afraid. Sometimes the stage appears while your voice is still trembling. Sometimes the opportunity arrives before you have fully healed from the last disappointment, and in that moment, life is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to participate. This is the fourth key of the confidence code: participation. Many people lose years of their lives waiting to become a perfect version of themselves. Before they begin, they wait until they know enough. Wait until they look better. Wait until they feel stronger. Wait until they have more support. Wait until the fear disappears. But confidence is not built in waiting rooms. It is built in motion. It is built when you show up while still becoming. It is built when you allow yourself to be a beginner without shame. It is built when you stop treating uncertainty like a stop sign and start treating it like a doorway. There is a sacred power in showing up before you feel fully prepared. Not carelessly, not arrogantly, but faithfully, because every time you show up, you collect evidence. You learn that you can survive the room. You can survive the question. You can survive the mistake. You can survive being seen. You can survive not being perfect, and slowly, the fear that once looked like a giant begins to shrink. Not because it disappeared, but because you grew. This is why action is medicine. Action breaks the spell of overthinking. Overthinking makes fear look intelligent. It creates imaginary disasters and calls them preparation. It builds prisons out of possibilities. It convinces you that if you think long enough, you can avoid every risk. But life does not reward endless hesitation. Life responds to movement. Even a small step has spiritual power because it interrupts the old pattern. It tells your mind, we are not staying here anymore, and maybe that is what you need most right now. Not a perfect plan, not a guarantee, not someone to come and rescue you from uncertainty. Maybe you need one honest step. one message sent, one decision made, one boundary spoken, one dream started, one page written, one application submitted, one conversation faced, one workout completed, one apology given, one ending accepted, one beginning chosen, because confidence grows when you prove to yourself that you can move even when the path is not completely clear. The fifth key of the confidence code is language. The words you speak over yourself are not small, they are instructions. Every day, your mind is listening. Your nervous system is listening. Your spirit is listening. When you constantly say, "I cannot," something inside you begins to obey. When you say, "I always fail," your brain begins searching for proof. When you say, "I am not that kind of person," you build a cage with your own mouth. But when you begin to speak differently, you begin to live differently. This does not mean lying to you. It does not mean pretending everything is easy. It means choosing words, those open doors, instead of closing them. Instead of saying, "I cannot do this," say, "I am learning how to do this." Instead of saying, "I am weak," say, "I am becoming stronger through this." Instead of saying, "I failed," say, "I received feedback." Instead of saying, "Nobody believes in me," say, "I am learning to believe in myself first." These small changes may sound simple, but they are not simple. They are spiritual corrections. They shift the atmosphere inside you, because the voice you hear most in life is your own. You can escape many people, many places, many situations, but you cannot escape the voice inside your mind. And if that voice is cruel, even success will feel heavy. Even love will feel suspicious. Even opportunity will feel undeserved. But if that voice becomes steady, patient, and powerful, even difficulty becomes survivable. You begin to walk through life with an inner witness that says, "You can handle this. You have faced storms before. You are not alone inside yourself anymore." This is one of the greatest signs of true confidence. You become safe within your own presence. You stop attacking yourself every time you make a mistake. You stop turning every setback into proof that you are not enough. You stop speaking to yourself like an enemy and begin guiding yourself like someone you are responsible for protecting, because you are responsible for protecting yourself, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You must protect the dream before it becomes visible. You must protect your peace before the world understands it. You must protect your confidence before it becomes unshakable, and protection sometimes looks like silence. Not every dream needs to be announced while it is still fragile. Not every plan needs public approval. Not every transformation needs an audience. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is grow quietly. Let people meet the results before they hear the explanation. Let your discipline speak before your mouth does. Let your consistency become louder than your promises, because confidence does not need constant performance. Real confidence can work in silence. There is a difference between confidence and noise. Noise demands attention. Confidence attracts it. Noise says, "Look at me." Confidence says, "I know who I am, whether you look or not." Noise tries to prove. Confidence simply moves. Noise is addicted to reaction. Confidence is devoted to purpose, and this is where many people confuse arrogance with confidence. Arrogance needs to feel above others. Confidence is simply no longer beneath itself. Arrogance compares. Confidence creates. Arrogance is insecure power. Confidence is peaceful power. When you understand this, you stop trying to dominate rooms and start learning how to occupy your own space fully. You do not need to be the loudest person to be powerful. You do not need to explain every detail to be understood by yourself. You do not need to win every argument to keep your dignity. Sometimes confidence is walking away with your peace intact. Sometimes confidence is not replying. Sometimes confidence is saying, "This is not aligned with who I am becoming." Sometimes confidence is choosing the long road because your soul knows the shortcut would cost you your integrity. The sixth key of the confidence code is alignment. Confidence becomes stronger when your actions match your values. Many people feel insecure not because they lack talent, but because they are living out of alignment. They say they want peace, but they keep entertaining chaos. They say they want growth, but they keep choosing comfort. They say they want self-respect, but they keep returning to places that humiliate them. They say they want a new life, but they keep feeding the old identity. And every time your actions betray your values, Your confidence weakens, but when you begin to align, something inside you becomes solid. You start trusting yourself because you are no longer divided. Your words and actions begin to walk in the same direction. Your choices begin to reflect your standards. Your boundaries begin to protect your future. You no longer feel like you are living two lives. One life you show to people and another life you secretly know is true. Alignment makes you whole, and wholeness creates confidence. This is why confidence does not only about believe you can win. It is about knowing you can live with yourself. It is about looking in the mirror and recognizing the person staring back. It is about knowing you did not betray your soul for approval. You did not sell your peace for attention. You did not abandon your values for temporary comfort. That kind of confidence cannot be purchased. It must be practiced. It must be chosen again and again, especially when nobody is watching, because who you are when nobody is watching becomes the foundation of who you are when everyone is watching. The private life creates the public strength. The unseen discipline creates the visible confidence. The quiet promises create the loud transformation. People may only see the moment you rise, but they do not see the mornings you fought your own resistance. They do not see the nights you kept going when quitting felt easier. They do not see the private prayers, the silent tears, the invisible decisions, the hidden healing. But confidence remembers. Your spirit remembers. Your future remembers, and one day, you will walk into a room that once would have intimidated you, and something will be different. Not because the room changed, because you changed. You will no longer enter asking whether you are enough. You will enter knowing you have survived too much to keep questioning your right to exist fully. You will speak with a calmness that does not need to impress. You will listen without shrinking. You will disagree without fear. You will accept criticism without collapsing. You will accept praise without becoming addicted to it. That is confidence, not a performance, a posture of the soul. But to reach this place, you must stop waiting for the world to become gentle before you become strong. The world may not always understand you. People may not always clap. Some doors may close. Some relationships may end. Some plans may fail. Some seasons may test everything you thought you knew about yourself. But confidence is the deep inner decision that says, no matter what happens, I will not disappear from my own life. That decision changes everything, because the moment you stop disappearing, your life begins to return to you. Your voice returns, your standards return, your dreams return, your energy returns, your clarity returns. You begin to feel the parts of yourself that were buried under survival. You begin to remember that you were not created only to endure. You were created to expand, to express, to build, to love, to lead, to rise, to become a living example of what happens when a person stops negotiating with their own greatness. And this is where the confidence code becomes more than personal growth. It becomes a revolution inside your identity. You stop asking, what if I am not enough? And start asking, what if I have been enough all along, but I was trained to forget? You stop asking, what if they judge me? And start asking, what if my freedom begins the moment I stop living for their judgment? You stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if failure is the doorway to the version of me I have been praying to become? These questions are powerful because they break the old spell, they interrupt the fear-based script, they open a new path in the mind, and when the mind receives a new path, the life begins to follow. Slowly at first, then suddenly. One decision leads to another. One brave moment leads to another. One boundary leads to another. One act of self-trust becomes a foundation, and before you know it, you are no longer begging confidence to appear. You are living from it. So today, understand this clearly. Confidence is not something reserved for the chosen few. It is not a gift given only to those who were born fearless. It is not a personality type. It is not a luxury. Confidence is a code, and like every code, it can be learned, can be practiced, it can be repeated until it becomes part of you. Identity, action, language, emotional mastery, self-permission, alignment, self-trust. These are not just ideas, they are keys, and every time you use one, another locked door inside you begins to open. The world does not need a perfect version of you. It needs the real version, the version that is brave enough to begin, the version that is honest enough to grow, the version that is strong enough to stop hiding, the version that understands that confidence is not becoming untouchable. Confidence is becoming unafraid of being fully alive, and once you become fully alive, you cannot return to a half-lived life.